¿No son las más extrañas noticias? La señorita Bell las está pregonando. Jane Fairfax y Frank Weston comprometidos en secreto. Oh, es admirable. Aunque tal vez usted ya lo suponía.
¿Yo? Pero es que si lo hubiese sabido...
Usted siempre ha penetrado en el corazón de las personas.
Estoy empezando a creer que nunca he poseído ese don. La hubiera precavido. No hubiese consentido que mi mejor amiga se fijara en un hombre que ya no era libre.
¿Su mejor amiga?
Sí. Tú, querida Harriet.
¿Pero yo interesada por Frank Weston?
Me alegra oírte hablar así. Hace tan solo unos días me confesabas en otro tono tus sentimientos por Frank.
¿Por Frank? Pero, señorita House, ¿cómo ha podido confundirse así?
Harriet, ¿qué quieres decir?
Quiero decir que cómo ha podido confundir a la persona objeto de mis sentimientos. Estuvimos hablando de él, de cómo apareció cuando yo me sentí morir, desdeñada, sola, en el baile.
En el baile. ¿Me está usted hablando del señor Knightley?
¿De quién sino? Creí que lo había entendido.
No lo había entendido. Pensé que te referías al incidente de los mendigos, a cuando Frank te salvó.
Los mendigos no tuvieron importancia. El señor Knightley me salvó de algo peor. De sentirme sola y despreciada.
Pero...
Usted me dijo que las diferencias de fortuna no importaban y yo creo que las de edad tampoco. Pero usted siempre me ha dicho que mi origen merece...
Sí, lo sé, pero... ¿Estás segura de que el señor Knightley comparte tus sentimientos?
Debo decir que creo que sí.
Soy la más estúpida de las criaturas.
Usted...
Nunca una persona ha creído saber tanto sobre los demás siendo tan ignorante sobre sí misma. Pero...
¿Recuerda el día del baile aquí en Harfield?
Pero la atención que tuvo hacia ti pudo ser solo amabilidad, cortesía.
No, no es eso. Fue después. Paseó conmigo largo rato. Estuvimos hablando de...
Sí, lo recuerdo. Él hacía proyectos sobre su casa de Danwell Abbey.
No, él cambió bruscamente de conversación al verla acercarse. Me habló de una manera muy diferente a como lo había hecho hasta entonces. Me preguntó sobre mis sentimientos, si mi corazón estaba libre. Le respondí que sí. Quiso decirme algo, pero usted intervino.
Solo puedo decirle que el señor Knightley sería la última persona que confesase sus sentimientos a una mujer por pura frivolidad, innecesariamente.
Gracias. Gracias, soy tan feliz. ¿Qué debo hacer?
No lo sé.
Soy tan feliz y tengo tanto que agradecerle. ¿Cree que a su regreso de Londres el señor Knightley se decidirá tal vez a hablarme? El otro día me aseguró que se iba por pura necesidad y en contra de sus sentimientos. Que su corazón se quedaba aquí.
En cualquier caso, su duda no será muy larga. Tengo entendido que el señor Knightley regresa mañana.
Miss Woodhouse, is it not the oddest news in the world?
What news is that, Harriet?
About Jane Fairfax and Mr. Churchill. Did you ever hear anything so strange? Mr. Weston told me himself. He said it was still to be a great secret, but that you knew it already.
Yes, Harriet, I did.
Had you any idea of his being in love with her? But Then I expect perhaps you had. You who can see into everybody's heart.
I'm beginning to doubt I ever had such a talent, Harriet.
Oh, Miss Woodhouse.
If I had, you may be sure that rather than give you hope, I would have cautioned you accordingly.
Me? Why caution me, Miss Woodhouse? Surely you do not think I care for Mr. Churchill?
Harriet, I am delighted to hear you speak so. But you will not deny that you did give me reason at one time to believe that you cared for him.
Oh, no, Miss Woodhouse, never. Oh, really, how could you so mistake me, I wonder? Well, I know we agreed never to name names, but considering how infinitely superior he is to everybody else, I would not have thought it possible that I could mean any other person. Really, Miss Woodhouse, I should hope I had better taste than to think of Mr. Frank Churchill.
Well, Harriet, if the object of your attachment is not Mr. Churchill, then who?
Oh, Miss Woodhouse, how can you ask such a thing? Oh, you who know me so well and have been always acquainted with the gentleman.
Harriet, let us now be quite clear upon this beyond any shadow of a doubt. Are you now speaking of Mr. Knightley?
But of course, Miss Woodhouse. Who else? I thought when we talked of him it was as clear as possible.
When we talked, Harriet, it was of Mr. Churchill's kindness in rescuing you from the gypsies.
Oh, no, Miss Woodhouse. I was meaning that time at the ball when Mr. Elton refused to dance with me and Mr. Knightley rescued me from my wretchedness.
I see. Well, let us suppose, then, that you have this particular affection for Mr. Knightley. Have you any reason to suppose it is returned?
Yes, I must say that I have.
Oh, what, pray?
Well, it was the other day at Donwell when he so particularly sought me out to show me round the garden. But perhaps you did not notice, Miss Woodhouse.
I remember him speaking to you for a moment, certainly.
Oh, it was more than a moment. Much, much more. He led me by the arm to the extreme end of the path beyond the orchard, especially to show me a view of the farm he rents to Mr. Martin. He must have remembered that I used to stay there long ago when I was a girl. Oh, he was most particular in his kindness and attention to me, Miss Woodhouse.
Well, I will only say, Harriet, that I know Mr. Knightley to be the last man in the world who would wittingly lead a woman to believe he cares for her more than he really does.
Yes, that is true. He is altogether too fine a man, is he not, Miss Woodhouse? Oh, dear Miss Woodhouse, it is to you I owe all this happiness.
To me?
Oh, yes, do you not see that if you had not brought me out so, I would never have dared even to speak to him? Oh, dear, dear Miss Woodhouse, I shall never be able to repay you as long as I live. Oh, there, I must go. I quite forgot. I promised Mrs. Goddard I would be home some half hour ago. Oh, my mind has quite gone to pieces these days, I'm afraid.
Mr. Knightley.
Is this not the oddest news you've ever heard about Mr. Churchill and Miss Fairfax? Had you any idea of it?
Can you imagine that I knew when I was encouraging you to give way to your own feelings? Had I known, I would have cautioned you.
Caution me? Why? Oh, you do not think that I care about Frank Churchill?
What do you mean? You said that you loved a man.
I did not name him, but I hope I have developed better taste than to choose Frank Churchill over him. Frank Churchill. Furthermore, I would never have even dreamed of him except that you told me he was wonderful.
Yes, but I thought you meant...
That raising my thoughts to him was a sign of my good taste. Those were your words.
Yes, but I meant them in reference to...
And without having heard them, I would never have dared to hope.
Harriet, please. Before we can go on, there is something that I must clarify. Is it possible that you are speaking of Mr. Knightley?
To be sure.
But you spoke of the service that Frank had done you in rescuing you from the gypsy.
Oh, I never said that.
I recall it with perfect clarity.
If I spoke of being rescued, I was thinking of Mr. Knightley's asking me to dance after Mr. Elton snubbed me. That was when I knew how superior a man he was.
Good God, this is a deplorable mistake. What is to be done?
Must something be done about it? You must think him 500 million times more above me than Mr. Churchill, yet you did say...
Harriet, have you any idea of Mr. Knightley's returning your affection?
Yes, I must say that I have. You told me to let his behaviour be the rule of mine, and so I have. Am I wrong to hope as I do?
Harriet, I can only venture to declare that Mr. Knightley is the last man on earth who would intentionally give any woman the idea of his feeling more for her than he really does. This is tragic.
Why is it tragic that Harriet should attach herself to a man who you admire so much?
I have asked myself many times why this should have unsettled me, and I came to see that I do not admire Mr. Knightley, as I have so long thought. I love him so dearly, so greatly. Outside of you and Father, his is the opinion which matters most.
Oh, my dearest child.
I did not know it until poor Harriet said she had the hope of him returning her feelings, and then I felt ill that I could lose him, and I knew that no one must marry Mr. Knightley but me.
How heavenly.
But I am too late. Just before he left town, he said,
"There is a delicate and perplexing matter I must discuss with my brother."
Me? Why should you think it would affect me? You don't think I care for Mr. Frank Churchill?
But Harriet, didn't you say so yourself? Considering the service he rendered you, it was extremely natural.
No. Oh, you have misunderstood me. I meant a much more precious circumstance. I meant Mr. Knightley, when he asked me to dance.
Oh, good God. Oh, Harriet, if I had known you had meant Mr. Knightley, I should never in a million years have encouraged you.
Why should you not? You said that more wonderful things had happened, and why should it not be so?
And you believe he returns your affection?
Yes, I must say that I do.
Has he said anything directly?
No, but he has talked to me in a very particular way. He seemed to be asking whether my affections were engaged.
You are sure he was not thinking of Mr. Martin?
Mr. Martin? No, indeed. I hope I know better now than to care for Mr. Martin. I would never have thought of Mr. Knightley, you know, if you had not encouraged me.
Oh, God, that I'd never met her!
Did you say anything, my dear?
Nothing, Papa.
You and I shall never be enemies. Never be enemies. Never be enemies.
I've seen how well you dance now, and we are not so much brother and sister as to make it improper.
Brother and sister? No, indeed. The situation should secure your compassion, not your ridicule. It was badly done, Emma. Badly done indeed.
I love him. I have always loved him. What have I done?
Miss Woodhouse, have you heard the news? Frank Churchill and Miss Fairfax. Who would have thought it? Well, you would have, Miss Woodhouse, but they have fooled you along with the rest of us. You with your superior powers for sniffing out a match.
Actually, I'm beginning to doubt I ever had such a talent. You cannot think I would have encouraged you to have feelings for Mr. Churchill if I had the slightest suspicion that he had the smallest regard for Jane Fairfax.
Me? Why should you worry about me? You cannot think that I think about Frank Churchill.
Well, I'm delighted you seem so indifferent, but you must admit there was a time, not so very long ago, when you had me believe you were a little interested.
Me? No, never. Miss Woodhouse, you are mistaken.
But then who...
I don't see how in the world you could have misunderstood me. I know we agreed never to name him.
We did.
But considering he is infinitely superior to everyone else, who else do you think I mean? Frank Churchill, indeed. I hope I have better taste than to think of Frank Churchill. I did think it was too great a presumption almost to dare even think of him. But then you said, here in this room, this very spot, I think, well, you said...
More wonderful things have happened. There have been many happy and unequal marriages.
So I thought, if you gave me hope, you who have known him all your life.
Harriet? Oh, no, you cannot. Harriet, am I right in thinking that you are talking of Mr. Knightley?
To be sure. Well, we talked it over here in this room?
Well, I could swear that you named Frank Churchill, his great service to you. He chased the gypsies away. He practically carried you here. I perfectly remember the occasion. I said it was no surprise that you should hold feelings for him, how normal it was, and I particularly remember you going into great detail about your sensations when he came to your rescue.
Oh, well, I know what you're talking about. I was thinking of something quite different. Not the gypsies or Frank Churchill. I was thinking of Mr. Knightley coming and asking me to dance. Well, that was what made me begin to feel how superior he is to every other being on earth. Miss Woodhouse? But I know that this is a surprise, but even so, and even though you must think he is 5 million times above me, but I really do hope that in your own words, more wonderful things have happened. If he doesn't mind, then I'm sure you are too generous a friend to set yourself against us.
Us? Harriet, have you any idea of Mr. Knightley returning your affections?
Oh, yes. I must say that I have.
Miss Smith has some first-rate qualities. I was surprised by our conversation.
Ever since the ball, he has often taken me aside. At strawberry picking, he took such care to explain crop rotation to me.
Are you sure he wasn't talking of Robert Martin, trying to remind you of his good qualities?
No, certainly not. I hope I know better than to be suspected of caring for Robert Martin. I should never have presumed it, but for you.
Let us think of superior men. There are plenty of more suitable suitors around.
Mr. Knightley is the last man in the world who would intentionally give any woman the idea of his feeling more for her than he really does.
Oh, thank you so much, Miss Woodhouse. I'm so very sorry, Harriet.
But why should you condole me? You do not think I care about Mr. Frank Churchill?
There was a time, and not very distant either, when you gave me a reason to believe that you did care about him.
Him? Never. Dear Miss Woodhouse, how could you so mistake me?
Harriet, what do you mean?
I should not have thought it possible that you could have misunderstood me. But you told me that greater things had happened. That there had been matches of greater disparity. Those were your very words, Miss Woodhouse.
Harriet, let us understand each other now, without possibility of further mistake. Are you speaking of Mr. Knightley?
Of course. But I thought you knew.
But the service Mr. Churchill rendered you in protecting you from the gypsies.
Oh, no. It's not the gypsies. No. I was thinking of a much more precious circumstance. Of Mr. Knightley's coming and asking me to dance, when Mr. Elton would not stand up with me.
Good God. And have you any idea of Mr. Knightley's returning your affection?
I must say that I have. He has shown me sweetness and kindness. And at Donwell, he took great pains to describe to me some particulars of the management of his tenant farms. We were interrupted, but before we were, he seemed almost to be asking me if my affections were engaged.
Yes, but is it possible that he might have been alluding to Mr. Martin? That he might have had Mr. Martin's interest in view?
You think of Mr. Knightley for yourself.
Harriet. I do not flatter myself with any idea of his attachment to me. Harriet.
I should have considered it too great a presumption even to think of him but for you.
Harriet, I know that he is the last man who would intentionally give any woman the idea of his feeling more for her than he does, so if you believe he loves you.
I refuse Mr. Martin because of you.